Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, my dear students of grade 11. Wherever you are, I wish you are doing fine and enjoying good health. Our lesson for today is a writing lesson on your student's book, pages 48 and 49. So please open your box before you start watching the video. Open your student's box on pages 48 and 49. We have a writing lesson for today. We are going to learn how to write a semi-formal letter or email based on prompts. A semi-formal letter or email based on prompts. Let's start with the topic here. Read the announcement. Read the announcement posted on a university notice board about a magazine and the notes a student of that university has made. What does he want to know more about? This is the announcement. It's posted on a university notes board, and one of the students has made some notes here so that he could write a response to the announcement. The question for you here is, what does he want to know more about? What does he want to know more about? If you look at the notes before you start reading, you can guess what he wants to know about. Writers wanted. So this is an announcement for wanted writers, or for writers who are wanted for the university magazine. Whereabouts? Our new university magazine is looking for the writer. This is the name of the magazine, of course. Our new university magazine is looking for writers. The student wrote great. So I can understand, or we can understand from this comment, that he is excited or he is enthusiastic about what he has read. Are you interested in what's going on campus? A question for the reader. Are you interested in what's going on campus? So he wrote a question in a short form. What topics? Remember the question here? What does he want to learn or to know more about? He wants to know the topics he's going to write about. Can you hold the reader's attention? Can you hold the reader's attention? Hold the reader's attention. It means, can you be a good writer who can attract the reader's attention? He didn't write notes here. Have you got some free time? The students' notes here, not a lot. Not a lot. So we understand that he doesn't have much free time. But he also wrote another one. Published how often? Published how often? So we can understand that from his notes that he wants to know more about the topics, and he wants to know how often they are published. Then you are perfect for the job. If you answer positively to all these questions, then you are perfect for the job. For more information, contact the English Club President, Mr. Nizar. Now let's have a look at what one of the students had written in response to this announcement. Now read the email the student wrote in response to the announcement and underline the parts. Underline the parts of the email that corresponded to his notes. So let's see this part on your interactive book. Just a minute, please.
Traveler.
This is our writing lesson. Yes. Now read the email the student wrote in response to the announcement and underline the parts of the email that corresponded to his notes above. Dear Mr. Nizar, I was very excited to see the announcement about the university magazine. I think the English club needs a magazine where students can express themselves and find out about what's going on. I have always been fond of writing, and I would be delighted to take part in the project or in this project. However, I would like to have some more information regarding the magazine. For example, you say that writers should have free time. I have free time, but it is limited. So I would like to know how often the magazine will be published. Another question I have is about the project, the subject matter. The announcement mentions what's going on campus. Does that include other things beside academic events? Let me know. Looking forward to your reply. Best wishes, Faisal Assad. Now, my dear students, let's have a look at the whole piece of writing. How did the writer start his piece of writing, or his email or letter? This is, of course, a letter. He started with, Dear Mr. Nizar. My question to you is that a formal or informal way of greeting other people? Dear Mr. Nizar. Yes, it's a formal way. This is a formal greeting. If you go back here to the announcement, he made 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. He made 1, 2, 3, 4 notes here about what he is going to write about. For example, his first comment here was great. Great means that he has a good impression about what he is reading. And he expressed this here when he said, I was very excited to see the announcement about the university magazine. Okay? The next note was what topics? What topics? He wanted to ask about the topics. Where did he express that, or where did he ask this question? I would like to have some information regarding the magazine. For example, you say the writers should have free time. I have some free time, but it is limited. So I would like to know how often the magazine, yes, how often the magazine will be published. Another question I have is about the subject matter, the announcement. So he has the question here about the subject matter. The announcement mentions what he's going to on the campus. Does that include other things beside academic events? In this part and this part, he is writing or expressing his inquiries about what he wants to know, of course. He responded to the question, have you got some free time? He said, not a lot, not a lot. So he doesn't have much free time. Where does he express or he write this? He said, I have some free time, but it is limited. Sorry. And he asked a question again about published how often. Yes, let me know. The question here, another question I have is about the subject matter. I'm sorry, I would like to know how often the magazine will be published. Yes, this is the question he wrote about this. I have another question. How did he finalize, or how did he close his piece of writing, his letter? How did he end the letter when he says, or when he writes, best wishes, Faisal Assad? This is a semi-formal way of closing a letter. This is a semi-formal way of closing a letter. So let's move now to the questions. Some questions here. Look at the email above and answer the questions below. The first question is, how does the writer address the person he is writing to? Please try to write the answer on your book. How does the writer address the person he is writing to? Yes, in a formal way. The answer here is in a formal way. What kind of questions does the writer use to ask information? Are they direct questions or indirect questions? Do you remember direct and indirect questions? For example, if I ask you, where is your school? This is a direct question. You can ask the same question in an indirect way. So you can say, can you tell me where your school is? So the question here, what kind of questions does the writer use to ask for information? Are they direct or indirect or a combination of both? You have three options here. Direct questions, indirect questions, a combination of both. If you go back to the letter, of course you will find many examples here of, for example, when he says here, so I would like to know how often the magazine will be published. This question is direct or indirect question? I would like to know how often the magazine will be published. This is an indirect question, of course. Yes. So the answer to question number 2 is a combination of both. A combination of both. The third question is, what style does the writer write in? Quite formal, friendly and formal, something between the two. If you go back to the letter, he started the letter in a formal way. Dear Mr. Nizar, this is a formal starting, a formal greeting. And he ended the letter in a semi-formal way. He said, best wishes, Faisal Saad. This is a semi-formal way. Something, it's not formal and it's not informal. A semi-formal way. So when you answer the question, what style does the writer write in? The correct answer is something between the two. It's not quite formal and not friendly or informal way. The last question here. How does the writer sign off? How does the writer sign off? How does the writer end the letter? Yes. Look at the signing off here. Best wishes, Faisal Saad. As I said before, it's a semi-formal way of ending the letter. So the answer is semi-formal. A semi-formal way. Semi, S-E-M-I, formal, F-O-R-M-A-L. A semi-formal way. Exercise D, look at the examples of indirect and direct questions in the email on page 48 and write the questions below using the words or phrases given. The first question, can you tell me what time the museum opens? Can you tell me what time the museum opens? This is a direct or indirect question. Yes, exactly. It's an indirect question. Because if you are going to ask it directly, you will say, what time does the museum open? You will rewrite the same question in a different way. I was wondering, I was asking, or I want to know, I was wondering what time the museum opens. Number 2. How much work will the project involve? How much work will the project involve? I would like to know. Yes, how much work? No, you will not write will here. How much work the project will involve? Yes, there will be some kind of inversion here. So the answer is, how much work is the project will involve? The third question, how much does the course cost? How much does the course cost? I would be grateful if you could tell me how much. You will have to delete the verb does, yes. How much the course cost becomes, yes, very good, costs. How much the course costs? Number 4. How can I get to 5th Street? This is a direct question. How can I get to 5th Street? Could you tell me how? Yes. You cannot say can I. It must be inverted. I can. So the answer is, could you tell me how I can get to 5th Street? Like this. How I can get to 5th Street. Number 5. When does registration start? When does registration start? I would like to know when, without does of course, registration starts. Yes, very good. When registration starts. Think about number 6. Does the university offer accommodation? Does the university offer accommodation? عندهم سكن. I'm interested in finding out. I am interested in finding out. You will delete the verb does and use if or whether. If the university offers accommodation, or whether the university offer accommodation. Very good. So it's your turn now, my dear students, to try to write in a semi-formal way. Read the rubric and the announcement with the notes. Underline the key words in the rubric. What does you have to include in your letter? You have seen the following announcement about an Islamic art course offered by an art teacher who is an old friend of your family. Read the announcement and the notes you have made. Then write a letter to the teacher using all your notes. Someone will ask me, where are the notes? Here are the notes. This one, these. You have 4 notes here. This is an announcement, as we have read. The title is Islamic Art Course. Islamic Art Course. Do you like pottery and ceramics? Would you like to express your feelings through art but don't know how? Do you want to meet local artists and see their work? Join our new course at the art department now and explore your creative side. For details, send us a letter to Alaya Street, Riyadh 11594, Saudi Arabia. This is the announcement, my dear students, and it's your turn to write a response to this announcement. You write a letter to the announcement. So you will have to be careful when you write your letter. The writing task will be on your workbook, page 44. You are asked to write from about 100 to 150 words. When you are writing a semi-formal letter or email asking for information based on prompts, write in an appropriate style. Write in an appropriate style. As we have seen the piece of writing we have read now, yes, it's not quite formal and it's not a friendly one. So it is something between the two. It's a semi-formal writing. Include all the information in your notes. The notes here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Try, please, include all of them in your writing. Organize the information in paragraphs. Use a combination of direct and indirect questions. Try not to make all your questions direct or not also all your questions are indirect. You have to write something which is a combination of both of them. Use a variety of phrases to ask indirect questions. For example, you can use I would like to know, could you tell me, I would be grateful if you could tell me, I was wondering, I'm interested in finding out. Use standard grammar and spelling conventions. Use appropriate phrases to express enthusiasm علشان تعبر عن الحماس انه انت متحمس للموضوع. You can use some phrases like these. I am very interested in. I have always been keen on. I was excited to see or hear, etc. I would be delighted. Please try to write this task on your workbook, page 44. And try to be to the point and logical. Try to be well organized. And remember that a semi-formal letter or email based on prompts in a semi-formal letter is written to a person you know, but he is not a friend. This is very important. You are writing to someone you already know, but he's not your friend or relative. In a semi-formal letter, begin with Dear Mr., Miss, Mrs., Ms., Doctor, plus surname, الاسم الأخير. If you write the title, Mr., Miss, Mrs., or Doctor, or whatever, you have to write the last name. Or you can start with Dear plus the first name and end with yours sincerely. You should end the letter in this way: yours sincerely, all the best, or at least you can write best wishes or yours and then sign your name or write your name. This is the workbook page you are going to write on. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have enjoyed the lesson, and I hope you can write this in a well or in a good way, and see you next time in another lesson. Thank you and goodbye.